Go.
Welcome to the Sound Off Show. My name is Linda Kirker. I host the program, and thank you so much for joining us today. I do want to let you know up front that this is being pre-recorded, so we won't unfortunately be able to accept any phone calls when you see this aired tomorrow evening. Just a little information for you to know there. Well, we had a beautiful summery fall day yesterday in the 70s. It was just magnificent. So I was so excited. It was just perfect and beautiful, despite the wind that was blowing a lot of the beautiful leaves onto the ground. But then this morning I woke up and it was 40 degrees, so I grabbed my parka and off I went. So, you know, one thing about Vermonters, I guess we by nature just have to be flexible and adaptable, particularly where the weather's concerned. But about life too, we have a lot of things going on in this state that we're perhaps not used to in the past, and so we have a lot of adjusting to do or changing to do, whatever we choose. I just wanted to mention I happen to receive a lot of materials from different organizations around the country, and this one is from the Young America's Foundation. And this article is by Ben Stein. You might be familiar with him. Sort of a comedian, but also he's been on many TV programs. And from this report is from the Young America's Foundation. American children don't know American history. They don't know geography. Their professors in college aren't teaching them a thing about their country's or our country's founding principles. Recent polls of college students prove that our children and grandchildren are not learning real and unbiased American history. Here are some facts from this poll. Less than half of the students polled know that George Washington was the American general at Yorktown during the Revolutionary War. Nearly 2/3 of the students didn't know about Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Not even 1 out of 5 know the purpose of the Emancipation Proclamation. And even though they're old enough to vote, nearly 2/3 of college students surveyed don't know that their congressmen serve for a term of 2 years. Pretty scary, folks, because you know what? I believe it was Abraham Lincoln who said, "The philosophy of our schools today will be the philosophy of government tomorrow." And if our young people are not learning the true foundation of our nation, we are going to be in big trouble. We already are in many ways, but it won't get better unless we ensure that we, as parents and grandparents and teachers, assure us, or that we ensure that we have our children informed about what their country is all about, why our country is founded the way it is, what the founders of this nation were trying to avoid based on their experiences in Great Britain, otherwise known as England. So please, you know, I had the pleasure of attending the other evening the Marine Band concert at the Collins Pearly complex, and it was wonderful. And it just so happened that there was a mom with 2 of her children sitting right in front of me, and being who I am, I talk with everybody. It doesn't matter what age you are or anything else. So I got to talking with this little boy. He's a 4th grader, just as smart as a whip, and I just loved talking with him. And as we were talking, I was asking him some questions about our country, and I said, "Do you think you'd be interested in having a little booklet that tells you about our country? Oh, yes. And so I said, well, I'll ask your mom if I can have your address. And if she agrees, then I will send you a Constitution. So his mom agreed and gave me their address, and I have it all ready to go. I'm sending them a few for their friends and family as well. But we just need, the point being that we just need at every opportunity to talk with our young people and inform them as much as we can about our country and how lucky we are, despite our problems, how lucky we are to live in freedom with opportunity in this country. And we need to make sure that our children are prepared for those huge opportunities out there in the world. Okay, that's my opener. And now I would like to introduce my guest, Don Tessier.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Don. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to have a local guy right here on the program. So, Don, do you have one particular topic that you would like to start off with today?
Yes, well, but to follow up what you were talking about, I think that in order for this to come about, what you were talking about, for our children to know more about U.S. history, we need to get involved in our children's lives and go to these school board meetings and tell the school board what we want taught in the classroom. When I was coming up through, and when you as well, we had civics and U.S. history. It was part of the curriculum. All right. And Doc Comey was the teacher who taught me at BFA. In the first 6 weeks of school, we did the preamble. We had to memorize the states. We did all that. Then we we covered everything from the Civil War down to the Revolutionary War. And back in the day, it was Vietnam was the last one.
Yes.
We did World War I, World War II, all right, and all those, North Korea, all that stuff. So people knew. And we had to know all this information. We had to know who the presidents were, right?
Exactly.
And I think we need to get involved in schools and help show them what we need in the curriculum. Right now, they figure they own the school, which they don't. They're employees of the school.
Yes.
And they should
there are employees.
That's right. They should be teaching what we want. And I think it's because we become complacent.
Well, Don, probably on every show, at least once, I say to the viewers out there, please, we the people have to be involved in our local government, in our schools, and just be alert, aware, involved in what's happening, because this country was founded for and by us, our predecessors.
Right.
And they had a vision for what this country could be. And we got there, but now we're falling back because there are so many special interests trying to destroy the basic foundation of this country. And that, that's probably a topic for another show, because you have, the United Nations, you have the globalists, the one world government people, and actually I think maybe I'd like to do a show on those topics, because most of us need to really understand what's going on, that there are so many tentacles pulling at the fabric of this nation, and the only way that fabric will stand is if we the people, as you say, are involved.
That's correct.
And informed.
Because our immigrants who are coming to this country today want us to assimilate into what they feel, rather than what happened at Ellis Island back when we had an immigration coming in through Ellis Island. They assimilated into what we were. We didn't assimilate to what they were coming from.
Right.
They left they left the luggage back home and started with new suitcases here. And I have a hard time when we're closing down schools and we're saying we can't have prayer in the U.S. schools, and we're closing down schools for holidays for the Muslims. All right, I have nothing against them, but they need to assimilate in here. If they're that strong on their beliefs, stay home. I'm not closing the school down for you. We're not closing anything down for you. You come
And
to
we're not allowing breaks in the school day for you to go and do your thing.
Right.
You know, your religious thing. There is a lot of conflict, Don, as you know, about the children even saying the pledge to the American flag every day because it has one nation under God. Okay? Well, we are a nation under God.
Right.
Get over it.
Yeah, well, we're not going to change. It goes way back in the 1600s, all right? And
You do know how many people are fighting against that.
Well, just recently, all right, I don't know if you saw that or not, there was a move for them to stop the opening prayer in the Congress.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Now, who would ever think, I mean, if there would have been anybody there who voted for that, then I would go out in that state where they were, and I would work to get them and get them thrown out of office, because that is crazy. Luckily, the leadership said, no, we're going to do that. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe.
There would be an uproar.
Why? I can't believe that anybody was stupid enough to try to get that through. But that's what they're trying to do. They keep pushing until you say, well, okay, it's just like your kids say, Mom, can I have that candy? And all of a sudden you say, okay. But the American people, as we can see what's happening with the NFL football deal, is not forgetting. And I sent a email to Fox and some people there. And there's a movement right now in the country that on Veterans Weekend, and I've got the email. I forwarded it to some people, some other people forwarded it, to boycott the NFL on Veterans Day.
The 12th, weekend, I think, of November.
October, right. Yeah. To boycott the NFL, because the NFL's population with TV viewers is down, and a lot of people are giving up their tickets and burning all the stuff from some of these players who are protesting.
Well, I didn't bring it with me, but along these lines, as long as you brought this topic up, Don, I received an email with like 12 different national football teams. Did you see that?
Yes, pictures of the players. And
well, no, it was a list.
Oh, yeah, but yes.
How many of them have committed
crimes?
What kinds of crimes?
Right.
Can you believe it?
Yes, I read that. I got that same thing too.
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds. I mean, it listed every team, all right? And for example, I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, and we had 17 people on the Green Bay Packers roster who had committed crimes, all right? And most of them is against their wives or friends, all right? Assaults, basically, most of it with those guys.
They don't know how to control their emotions.
Right. And yeah, I saw it was a big list. And so their popularity is going down. And what's going to happen, as you well know, viewership on television is all based when they try to get Ford or Budweiser or somebody like that, sponsors, they say we have this many billion. And now if they go down, we only got millions, the revenue is going to go down. And then the revenue, each team gets a personal amount of money from the revenue as well. So when these players go for a raise, the owner's going to say, we don't have the money because of your shenanigans.
Well, you know, I understand that it's primarily the black players on the teams that are kneeling. I think there were even a few who weren't black, but they're saying this is about, what do they call it? Unfairness.
Yes.
So I'm saying, okay, you make $2 million a year.
More than that.
All right. What are you doing?
Nothing.
How many of these communities where young black people maybe are not being, taught what they need to be taught or don't live in good circumstances, what are you doing to lift up those communities, to go and talk with those people? No. They have to make an affront to the American flag, the symbol of our nation and all that's been fought for and what we stand for. That is abhorrent. That is totally unacceptable. And yes, we have problems in this country. There are also a lot of white people who are troubled in it and living in less than desirable circumstances.
Right.
Okay? But nevertheless, I don't want to belabor this because there are so many other things to talk about, but it's really a disgrace to see people who are playing a game like that to so disrespect our country.
Well, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys has informed his players, if you don't stand, you're going to be benched.
Good.
And that's what it's going to take. And the NFL down in New York, they're scrambling to see what they can do because, like you said, things are just going south on them, and it's not going to be let up. And like you said, on Veterans Day weekend, they want to boycott every team, turn it off. I had a friend of mine down in Cape Canaveral, Florida, said, I've given up on the NFL. I'm watching college football now.
Well, that's fun
Yes.
to see. In fact, I enjoy that even more because you don't expect as many great things, you know, as, I mean, the professionals. Mm-hmm. And when you see the young people really outstanding, it's, yes, you know, it's exciting. And we need to support the young people anyway.
That's correct.
Okay, so were you finished with your first?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. Where do I want to start here? Okay, folks. Did you know that Vermonters, this is really important, Vermonters pay more property taxes as a percentage of their income than citizens of 47 other states?
Whoa.
We have a problem, and it's called the cost of education in Vermont. Wonder why your property taxes are so high? And they are. Vermont's average, this is average, per pupil spending is close to $19,000.
Wow.
The national average per pupil spending is $10,700. These are the last figures that I looked up within months. So Vermont spends almost twice the national per pupil cost. Why? Somebody tell me why. What are we doing? Vermont taxpayers also fund the pension and health care liability for our teachers and state workers. Currently, that fund is $3.6 billion short. $3.6 billion short in Vermont. This cost alone has increased by $23 million over the last 6 years. So what is the legislature doing? What are the goals? Who's looking at the big picture and saying, okay, this is how much money we have coming in. This is a standing debt that we have to pay down. These are current costs. Why don't we why don't we have someone outside of government come in and do an audit on the various departments of state, the agencies, starting, I would say, with the Agency of Human Services and the Agency of Education, and then go on to the other agencies to see how fiscally accountable we are as a state. We have problems, folks. And to add to the problems, let's see. Okay, this debt, this $3.6 billion debt, reflects on our capital debt affordability and our ability, our bond rating with the feds. And I believe, I'm no accountant or financial person, but I believe that affects our ability to bond, to borrow money. So it's time to reassess our spending commitments and our fixed liabilities. Taxpayer liabilities for these pension and health care costs in 2017 is about 8% of the general fund budget. We need to get our financial obligations under control, and it won't be fun. It's going to hurt. But if we don't do it now, it's going to hurt even more going forward. Governor Scott just gave a speech at a meeting, I believe, that was held in Burlington. I'm not certain. He said, Vermont's gross domestic product growth per capita, per person, is the 4th lowest compared to the other 15 AAA states, that's bond rating states. Vermont's per capita growth was 1.91% versus 8.15% in Iowa and 11.25% in Texas. So the median household income in Vermont growth is well below other AAA states. So we have a lot of work to do. Any comments on that?
Well, Linda, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but what's that say there? The education fund could go as high as $80 million.
What?
Yep. I'm reading this. It says, White River Junction, state officials and school board members say the education fund shortfall could reach $80 million and could be a whopping many tax owners a 5% increase in the school tax. The Secretary of Education has said that it's a 7 to 9% increase in the statewide property tax is likely unless school budgets significantly cut their budget. And the budget gap falls on the property taxpayer, who pays $1.06 billion into the $158 billion educational fund. It could add about 8 cents to the current homestead tax and 1.51% to the $100 assessment property taxes, and it could add 8 cents to the non-residential tax of 1.535, state officials said this week. So in addition, the taxes are coming. The taxes are coming, and this was printed out just today on Vermont Digger that I got. So it was, so it's coming. The taxes are on the way.
Yes, they are, and
I can't believe, and the school teachers, when Governor Scott tried to do the thing, the statewide health care, saving $26 million, voted against it. Now these people are going to have to start paying, and I'm glad to see them going to get skin in the game. And maybe they'll start understanding that we need to reduce costs, because now they're going to be paying more taxes.
Well, who are you saying these people are going to have to pay?
Teachers.
Oh.
Yeah, now they're going to have some skin in the game, because they are not willing to do what is prudent and let something happen. They're more worried about themselves than they are about the students and the property owners. Before we went on here, we talked about that teacher down in Burlington, who, because she might have to do cafeteria duty, and that was one of the biggest things there. She said, my personal time, they're taking away my personal time. And I said to myself, when's the last time somebody went to work in a business and they could do business, personal business on company business? Here's my thought, all right? You're 8 to 5 or 8 to 3. 8 to 3, I can ask you what to do and tell you what to do. You have no personal time. You're at the benefit and call of your employer, who is the taxpayer. I couldn't believe when I said she's talking about they're taking away my personal time.
Well, that apparently is her philosophy. I don't know what their arrangements are down there, but I tend to agree with your thoughts on that. I believe that, and correct me if you know differently, that the the average income in Vermont is about $45,000, something.
I thought it was around 50, but
All right.
let's say
50. Let's say 50.
45 to 50,000.
Okay.
Medium income.
All right. Now, I want to preface what I'm going to say. I've said this many times on the show. Our teachers have not only a very important job in our society, but they have a hard job because we have changed so much about our education system over the more recent years. And I believe that our teachers are caught in a broken education system. I think Common Core is a mess. I think we should get rid of it. And I also believe that the curriculum ought to come from the local area, that every school doesn't have to be the same in this country. We have certain basics,
All right.
math, science, U.S. history, English, what else? Geography, knowing your country, we had to learn that. And of course, there are technology things that the children need to learn. But we need to change a lot about the education system. The people who designed what we have today had their own personal interests in mind when, like Bill Gates, for instance, the Microsoft company founder, who was heavily involved in designing Common Core, along with others. But I was talking with a friend who said, teacher average pay is $70,000. I said, that can't be. Then I was talking with another friend whose daughter is a teacher, and I mentioned that to her, and she said, oh, my daughter makes much more than that. And I said, what?
Look, Miss Linda, if you can just scan a couple of these pages.
Oh, is that what you have here?
Yeah, this is what they have at BFA and school teachers. This is what every school teacher makes at BFA in St. Albans Town.
Wow.
As I said the last one all the time, we have a driver's education teacher at BFA who makes $80,000 a year.
Wow.
And I said we could put that out to a third party and probably save money. Now, I'm not begrudging anybody. He's not the problem. All right, he's taking advantage of what's been offered. It's the administration. Open up the front page. It tells
This is the St. Albans Town Educational Center, not BFA.
BFA's at the back.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a problem. You know, I'd like to see $70,000 be the average pay in the state, but it isn't. And so the question is, why are people who are making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 paying for the health care and the retirement and the salary of educators? Okay, well, let's see, what do we have here?
BFA.
All right.
And Northwestern Technical Center.
Okay, all right. Yeah, they're up there.
Yeah, I mean, I have not a problem
Wow.
with that, okay? But they need to understand that they are way above the average in the United States of America, let alone Vermont. All right.
Yeah,
So when they're crying, all right, and it says that this a $80 million gap, healthcare is going to go up by 17% roughly, and most of it's going to come from the taxpayer because the teachers don't want any. They don't want any increase. They want no copay. They want no deductibles. They want any out of pocket. They want to be reimbursed.
Well, I think that has to change.
Well, I hope so. But one other thing too. I mean, we need to get out and vote on these things, and we need to get school board commissioners who are going to say no, no, no. it seems like the teachers do this always at the first part of the year. All right, if you look back the last couple of years, South Burlington, they do it wrong in September when school first starts. They do it at a time, and then all the parents say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. I got this thing here. 37 states do not allow public workers to strike, and Vermont is one of them. All right,
No, Vermont isn't one.
I mean,
Vermont is one of them?
No, we don't. We allow them to strike. We allow them strikes. But there's 37 states that do not allow people to strike, and we're not one of them. The only thing it says here, I read this here. There's state college people can't strike, and state employees cannot strike, but school teachers can. And this article was, why aren't we bringing the teachers under the same contract as everybody else? You cannot strike.
Especially since we're paying their retirement and health care,
right.
And that $3.6 billion shortfall is tied right in with the state workers.
Yeah, because it says here, State College Chancellor Jed Spalding knows his college professors cannot strike. Even State Employees Association isn't allowed to strike. Right? So why are we allowing the teachers? And they always do it the first of the year. We never do it at the end of the year, because at the end of the year we'd say, "Oh, see you later, Jack," strike, and be shortening the deal. So they're always doing it. In their public relations, they don't understand that's annoying the people of Vermont. And then we don't. I have no sympathy when I see numbers like this in this book. Okay, it's a town report, and when I see numbers like that, and they're holding me up, and I'm going to have to start paying more taxes because of their greed. It's crazy.
Well, I'll tell you, the people are not happy with the tax situation, the cost of living in this state.
Well, a lot of people are leaving. We've known that the people. Especially the older people.
4,000 a year,
yes,
did I read?
Most of the older people, all my friends, I'm the stupid one, all my friends who are residents of Florida, they come up here in the summertime and they live in Florida. And one of them said by him moving down, well, Dave McWilliams read something on the air one time when we were filling in for you, is that these people who were at American Legion moved to Tennessee, and they roll back and how much money they're saving. So it's not just Florida, it's Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. All right? And they turn out good people. I keep telling that story about my granddaughter when I went down to Nashville, Tennessee, and we walked her to school because she's right close by. And the first thing they do when they go into class is they say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and then they have a moment of silence for meditation. And then they start on. All right.
Instead of a prayer, they can do their own
meditation. All right.
Yep.
They call it silent time.
Well, you know, down south they're pretty patriotic. Mm-hmm. They're church-going people.
Yeah.
And you know, I know we're talking about a lot of problems, folks, and the main reason why is because many folks, maybe like yourselves, are very busy. Or you just don't want to deal with negatives. You're retired, you want to enjoy yourself, and I understand that. But by the same token, we need to be involved, and we need to get this state turned around in a hurry. And this debt is going to take many, many, many years, and somebody's going to have to pay for it. But with 4,000 people leaving the state, and with the student population down 25,000, something's going on. I've talked with a number of people who are employers. They can't find people who either are reliable or, you know, that can pass the drug test. There are jobs out there, but you have to have the people who want to work and will be a stellar employee, somebody that you're happy to pay to do the job. So the governor recently gave a speech, and I did talk about that, and there was more to it, but let me see.
Well, while you're looking for that,
yes.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, hang on to your seat because we're going to hit a little turbulence, and I think I don't want you hitting your head on the ceiling. There's a move again, all right? Has anybody ever heard of the carbon tax? There's a move again, and it's basically Democrats. So if you live in a town where you have Democratic representation, you should have a talk with them. They want it to, now they want to tax fuel oil if you're heating your house and gasoline. Remember that came up last time in this session of there, and now come up, they're want to do it again, the carbon tax.
The governor says he will veto it if it comes.
But if they override it, if they override them, because as you know, the Republicans do not have a majority in the House or the Senate, and if he can't override it, and some of those liberal people down in Montpelier and Burlington, Vermont, and it passes, basically, you know, Linda, I'm going to make a statement here. I hope they do pass it. I hope they do pass it.
Yikes.
Yeah, you know why? That would give me the excuse to leave. Get off my dead butt and move down to South Carolina, Tennessee, or one of those other states. It would probably be Tennessee because my son lives down in Nashville. And we were talking about the price of gas down there compared up here. And it's very inexpensive down there. And most of the gas that comes from into Vermont, all right, and the northern part of Vermont comes right out of Montreal. It doesn't come up from the south. And I did call Channel 3 one time and explain that to the lady, because a professor at the University of Vermont said most of it comes up through a pipeline down south. Well, northern Vermont, that's not true. It comes from Quebec, right out of Montreal. So hang on to yourself. And if you want to be, you're going to be taxed to death. We're going to start calling it Vermont Taxi.
I better start cleaning out my house and hope that somebody would want to come here. Some environmentalist might want to come here and buy my place. We have the second oldest population in the country, after Maine, I think.
And most of the people in Maine are smarter than us. You know why? Because they're moving south. I know of a lady who works for a big retailer in Maine, Freeport, and when I retired, she said, we're heading south. Boom.
Well,
it's just like those people who went to Tennessee that Dave McWilliams wrote that letter. They wrote a letter, and he read it on the air. He said the taxes down there, everything, food down there, gasoline, everything's cheaper.
I know.
You know, and they're happy.
Your taxes are cheaper,
right? And the weather's a lot nicer in the wintertime.
Yeah,
in the winter. It's chilly.
Yeah.
But you don't have the snowstorms and stuff like that.
Well, the governor said in his speech, what Vermont needs to do is grow its working age population. All right? Now it's one thing to have an expanded working age population, but they have to be well educated and hard work. They have to have a strong work ethic if the businesses are going to want to, hire them. Now, how can you grow the working age population and increase the workforce to expand the tax base when everything costs so much here that young people are leaving? My grandson's one of them.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's in North Carolina, doing very well for himself, just got promoted. He's now a manager, and he's in robotics. Mm-hmm. And so somebody has to do a strong, in-depth analysis of where we are, where we've come from, where we are, and where we need to go. And you're not going to increase your workforce with the way we're doing things now, because everything is so expensive here.
Well, in addition to that, Linda, I think I've told this story before, that at the country club last year, we celebrated our 100th anniversary. We had the Vermont amateur there, And so I went out and got these ladies from the Vermont National Guard to come out and do the flag on the 9th hole like they do in the PGA. They have it, they go out and the player hands it to the guards person and they take it and then they put it back. So I was talking to these ladies and I said, how's business? It said, it's not that good. I said, your recruitment's down? I said, yeah, well, people coming in, but they can't pass the entrance exam. And I said, what's it based on? She said, it's based on a 9th grade education.
Oh, my goodness.
So, and it goes back to this. Here we're paying billions of dollars on education. You said $20,000 a student, and they can't pass.
Close to 19.
Yeah, they can't pass an entry exam in the Vermont National Guard.
Wow.
And it's based on a 9th grade education, she told me. So, I mean, these teachers, I'm willing to pay for excellency, but I want the product coming out excellency.
Yeah, if you're going to pay big bucks for something, you want quality.
That's right. And I don't want to brag, but I guess when we came through the thing, all right, we came out and we knew something, and we could go out and get a job and take care of ourselves. But our children
move on to college.
Right, and our children can't do that.
Oh, there's a program at UVM. I was down at Shelburne Farms for brunch the other day on Sunday with some friends, and there was a big sitting room there, and my friends were leaving, and there was this woman there sitting in the lounge, and she was by herself, and I started talking with her like I always do. And she works for, I can't remember the name of the program, but it's basically to help college students at UVM get prepared for success, I will say, like to help them with some basics, like learning to read.
And they're in college.
They're in college, but there's a significant percentage who need remedial reading.
You got to be kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, and that's a crying shame.
By the way, I have neighbors who have a daughter at UVM, and in the freshman year, there are mandatory courses that they have to take, like diversity, and there was another one which I can't remember, but I just can't understand. We grew up in a different world. We grew up in a different country, Don.
Yeah, I know, because why are they doing that? That's something that you do. Of course, probably what happens today is most people don't even go to church anymore, and that's where you get how to get yourself into society and be part of society, is by doing good for other people.
That's true.
All right? For example, Pauline does a lot of work. This Thursday she'll be at Martha's Kitchen with a group of other ladies preparing some food for people who need it.
Yes.
And doing certain things, okay? So, I mean, you don't need to go to college to learn that kind of stuff. That's what you're taught in life. And I think with the parents, and there again, some of it, I can't blame all on the teachers. Some of it has to be with the parents. They think that somebody else should be raising their children, and they have children, but they're not involved.
Well, the thing is, our society has changed so that the prevailing philosophy is that, we'll take care of your children, we'll raise your children, we'll pay for your children to go to daycare. If you want your children to grow up with your philosophy and your values, then you have to raise them. Yeah. You don't put them in somebody else's hands.
Well, I think we're preaching to the choir, because I think most of the people who watch your show are probably doing what we think they should be doing.
Well,
it's the other people. I think you should have to take a test to get married and have children.
Well,
maybe we wouldn't have so many people on substance. Because, for example, we got over 13,000 people in the state of Vermont who are getting subsidies on this health care. And remember I said, and they're paying $8.7 million for 13,000 people. I said, I can't, what's wrong with this picture? $8.7 million for 13,000 people. Where's all that money going?
I don't have my calculator.
I don't. I can't believe it. So because it says Yeah, 13,000 Vermonters. I want to get this right. Yeah, the federal government spends $8.7 million per year with Blue Cross Blue Shield Vermont, state's largest insurer, to subsidize around 10,000 of the company's customers. MVP also gets millions of dollars from the federal government for the same program. So it's over $8.7 million.
And our current president wants to do away with subsidies to healthcare companies.
Right, yeah, and what we need to do is we need to scrutinize some of these people who are getting this, because I want to help, but I think some people are gaming the system. Okay, they're gaming the system. If you're getting subsidies, and I would say today, you show up at City Hall today, and I'm going to give you a rake, and I want you to go to Taylor Park and start raking those leaves and put them in a bag. I'll help you, but you're going to have to help me help you. It's not.
Yes.
And I see people sitting on a place, and I'm not going to mention where it is, and they're sitting there, and I say to myself, what do these people do for work? All right, they're sitting around. They got tattoos, smoking cigars, smoking cigarettes, and all. I said, where's all this money coming from? Then when I go to the grocery store, I think you mentioned it one time, you see what they put in their cart. Instead of buying a chicken, taking it home, cooking it, and then boiling it down for soup, where you can probably get maybe 3 or 4 good meals out of it, they take the chicken bone and throw it away.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much going on that we need to kind of rebuild the foundation of our society around work ethic, personal responsibility, accountability for your actions, quality education, great parenting, church going. You know, there's so many great things that we experienced when we were growing up. One thing I wanted to say about the colleges, the cost. When I went to UVM, the annual cost was $2,200 or $2,400 a year. Now, granted, that was umpteen years ago, okay?
We won't say how many years.
Well, a lot of years, 60 years. But the cost is unbelievable. And I think there needs to be, what needs to happen partially is that there have to be strict guidelines for the testing that you have to pass in order to qualify to go to college.
Well, they used to do that, SATs and all that other stuff, because I remember when my daughter and my son had to take those, and my son went to the University of Massachusetts because they didn't have landscaping in Vermont, and they had a reciprocal agreement, and then he got his master's at the University of Pennsylvania, because he always wanted to have it in an Ivy League, because it looks good on a resume. All right, because, you know, and it's a tough school to get into, the University of Pennsylvania.
Well, they should be tough to get into. That means that's an incentive to work hard to get in. And then you have more of a quality, more of a knowledge base, and maybe an expertise in what you're going to do going forward.
Right.
But when anybody can get in, and then, oh, we'll provide this service, we have this new building and this new team, and they're going to break you into college, and they're going to, you know, help you adjust and all that. Come on.
Yeah, what's life about? I mean, it's you know, like you said, they're doing the same thing in the elementaries, and they're doing the same thing in high school. Is they're just pushing them through, and without
social promotion. Right,
and so without education. Back in the day, there, if you didn't have the right numbers, you had to take the exam over. All right, I had a few of my friends not help here because they didn't have it. When I lived in Virginia, had to go to summer school. All right, to get that course so they could move on to the next one. All right, and one of the things when you was a BFA, if you had a certain grade level at the end of the year, you didn't have to take the finals, because even if you flunked it, you'd pass. All right, so that gives you an incentive to do well.
Absolutely.
Because you get something at the end, and when you come out, you're a little smarter too.
Where's the incentive when everybody wins?
That's right.
Everybody gets a gold
participated.
star.
We're going to, instead of a diploma, we're going to give them
Participation.
Right, I can't speak right now. In high school, and here you are. I mean,
So why would I'm an achiever, I'm a hard worker, so, and I'm motivated to excel. So why would I, if I know everybody at the end of this journey is going to get the same
well, I think,
star or award or whatever.
well, see, with you, that's not the goal. Your goal is to do what you want to do and be the best. Mm-hmm. You're not going to lower your values to lower. See, that's where you and I come from. I'm not going to say, well, okay, if I just play along like the rest of them, I get there. Well, I'm not built that way. It's like when I go out and play golf.
I wouldn't be happy with myself.
Right. When I go out and play golf, I'm not playing against you. I'm playing against the golf course.
And yourself.
Right, and myself. Am I better? Can I beat that golf course? Okay, I might score better than you, but my goal is to, instead of getting a 4, I want to get a 3.
Definitely would score better than me.
Right, but I want to get a birdie or something. I want to break par.
Yeah.
So I want to achieve what I can do, and everybody else. I'm happy for them if they achieve something and I don't do it. I'm happy for them.
Right.
It's just that I'm going to have to work harder to do what they did, and that's what we've taken away from these people is competition.
Yep, which is really important.
Because here you were at you get that, you don't get a diploma, right? It's like attendance.
That's right. Okay, let's see. Did you know?
No.
This is for you seniors out there, and that includes the two of us. The Supreme Court ruled in a case called Fleming versus Nestor that our government has no obligation to pay you back what you put into Social Security while you were working. For years, Congress has been using the Social Security so-called trust fund money for their pet projects.
Right.
Now I want to give you a little heads up here. The money that Congress has diverted from our Social Security trust fund has largely been spent on special interest projects as favors to those who have the power to help them get reelected. Examples: $15 million was taken out of the Social Security fund for overseas dairy development, $3 million to teach golf to youngsters in Florida, $50 million to build an indoor rainforest in Iowa, and $200,000 to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just to name a few.
Oh my gosh.
So, are you aware and are you okay with our congressmen and senators down in Washington, D.C. putting their hands into the Social Security Trust Fund and using it for their purposes to get reelected in their states? This is what we have going on. And it's probably going on with both parties. This is not
Democrat or Republican, you're right.
Or Republican, it's both.
Yep.
So this is where, again, we have to stand up, folks, and let them know this is not okay. And we want that Social Security Trust Fund solidified so that we can count on getting the money that we paid in all through our working years. So there you go. I wanted to make sure you knew that, and I want to make sure to get in here. I've been thinking a lot about our governor's approach to the illegal immigrants in our state. Obviously, we know we have, I believe it's over 3,000 illegals working on our family farms in Vermont. Now, maybe these are really good people. Maybe they're hardworking. Maybe they're really, you know, fine individuals, but they are in the country illegally, okay? And just so you know, at the federal level, it is illegal to hire someone who is in the country illegally, all right? Now, what the governor has just done has decided that he does not want our state and local police to notify ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, about the illegals working in the state or in the state in general. Some of these people, maybe not the farm workers, maybe other illegals in this state, are committing crimes. But here's what I'm thinking. If we're going to protect, I call that sanctuary, okay? We're providing sanctuary for people who are in this state illegally. Now, I got to thinking, Vermont has one of the most generous welfare programs in the country. And when the word gets out around the country, and maybe outside the country, that you can come to Vermont as an illegal, you can be protected by our state against, you know, from ICE, and maybe you can collect, I don't know this for a fact, but maybe you can collect benefits. We have, you know, are we educating? Farm workers are here all year because milking cows is an all-year process, all right? So are we educating their children to the tune of the average of $19,000 apiece? Are they getting health care in this state? You know, there are a lot of questions. Do they have access to food stamps? I don't have answers, but I have a lot of questions. And I think when the word gets out that you can come to Vermont and be protected, we are from the federal enforcement, that we're going to have a lot more people coming here. And didn't we just have in the newspaper 16 people coming from Canada or through Canada into the United States? Fortunately, the feds found them and apprehended them. But one was from Mexico, and one was from, I think, Guatemala, one of South American country. And we definitely need to secure our borders, folks. There's no getting around it. We can't afford ourselves. We can't afford our education. We can't afford to pay the $3.6 billion in the fund for state and state employees and teachers. So what are we going to do? Somebody has to take charge and say enough is enough, and look at the big picture and start shaving off whatever we have to shave off to get into a fiscally accountable status.
Amen.
So that's what I have to say. Oh, we're down to no time. So I want to say thank you for coming on the show. As always, I appreciate it. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care.